Welcome back to the Authenticity Calling podcast, where we have real conversations with real people. I'm your host, Relitsa Spasova, and today we have an amazing guest. Her name is Emily Dawn, and she's here to share all about how she embraces and lives her magic in the world. So welcome, Emily.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so looking forward to our conversation today and seeing what value I can provide based on my journey and where I'm at now in my life.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, I would love if you could share just a little bit of background about yourself. I always find that people's journeys and what they choose to share is so telling, and it's so magical about their authentic path and really about your gifts and what you bring to this world.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much I could share in this, but what first comes to mind that kind of started my journey to where I am now, both personally and professionally, is in 2018, I decided to move to Australia. And I was a nanny there. So it's called an au pair, which essentially means a foreign nanny. And um, at the time, that was my first time out of North America. I'm originally from Canada.
Mhm.
So it was my first time traveling far away, and I was doing it solo um, as a young female. And that, um, I guess you could say, leap of faith really
Mhm.
allowed me to go into this last year of now 5 years of on and off solo travel. And I think is a huge reason I was able to step into the world of entrepreneurship as well.
Mhm.
Solo travel really challenges you in so many ways, in similar ways that entrepreneurship does.
Mhm.
So yeah, it would be about 5 years ago I made the decision to do that first solo trip to Australia. Um,
Mhm.
I then went back to Canada for a bit. I became a Pilates instructor in studio and decided, you know what, I want to travel again. So I went to England, which is where I started my online business as a Pilates instructor. And I ended up falling in love with the marketing side of things for my business. So I transitioned into helping people more on the marketing side, which has evolved into now my full-time 3-year business, which
Mhm.
allowed me to live the digital nomad lifestyle, being primarily based in Bali, Indonesia since 2021. And I'm currently actually back in Canada visiting family for the holiday season. And yeah, it's been a wild last 5 years, but I feel like really the start of my life was when I made that first jump into solo travel.
Wow, Emily, you are literally living the dream. And how old are you? If you don't mind me asking, and you totally
Yeah,
don't
I know.
answer
I
that
don't mind.
question.
I normally don't share, but I'm more than happy to. I'm actually 23. So when I started traveling, I was just 18.
Wow, that is amazing. And I love how you said you took that leap of faith. And there's just there's so much to unpack around that mirror between entrepreneurship and solo travel. I think is brilliant. And I'm really curious on your journey, on your solo travel journey, what do you feel that you learned, or what were the skills or tools or I guess deepenings that you were able to achieve, which obviously matured you very quickly. But what were those things that actually help you in your entrepreneurship that you feel you learned through solo travel?
Yeah, I would say a big one is actually being able to connect and communicate clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for me, when you're put into a new environment around people that you've never met before, you're often put in these rooms as an entrepreneur as well,
Mm-hmm.
where you have to really nail down your skills, like articulate yourself clearly and
Mm-hmm.
be able to connect with people that come from many different walks of life. So I find in conversing with people from, let's say, my hometown that maybe have grown up in the same area and haven't really gone much outside of it, they kind of only are living in their own world, I guess you could say,
Mm-hmm.
and they only have a small idea of what's out there. But when you go
Mm-hmm.
to travel, you're able to see all these different opportunities, these different ways of living, and you're able to really see the opportunities. And I think that's what translates to entrepreneurship. I think entrepreneurs are always coming up with new ideas, and we see opportunities in things,
Mm-hmm.
as well as risk tolerance. I think that's a huge one as well. You have to have good judgment as a solo traveler.
Mm-hmm.
Might I even say specifically a solo female traveler?
Yeah.
You really have to have your wits about you, and you have to be able to balance out the risk and reward. And same thing in entrepreneurship.
I love that. So risk tolerance and that risk and reward. What really stood out to me is when you were talking about it, the first thing was like, wow, you must have a really great connection with your intuition. Because I feel like that is one of the most important things when you're in this unknown space. You're young, you're female, you're, traveling in these places you've never been. And I mean, you don't know if you might miss the last train and end up somewhere in the middle of the night that's not safe. Like how do you navigate, and did your relationship with your intuition evolve as you traveled more?
Absolutely. I would say you have to trust yourself. It's not an option. And um when you're traveling with a group, it's very different because you can bounce ideas off of each other. You also kind of feel safety in numbers. But
Mhm.
when you are left on your own, I think it's very natural to trust your gut. And I say to anybody that's traveling, like, if it's a question of money or safety,
Mhm.
like, always go for safety, because
Totally.
you hear so many things where people just are like, oh, do you know what? Just to, like, especially in the young backpacker community, just to save money, they go against what, oh, okay, is this a good idea? Is this not?
Mm.
But I always say, like, just go with what you feel is right, even if
Mhm.
it's maybe a hard decision in terms of, oh, everybody else is doing this, or oh, this is a lot of money, or whatever it may be that's swaying you the other way. If it doesn't feel right, don't go or don't do
Girl,
it.
you're 23 and wiser than most 63-year-olds I know. So thank you for sharing that. That is absolutely necessary. And I think every single child, teenager, and adult needs to be reminded that, because I think life will teach us and show us, and we think we have such a good relationship with our intuition, and then we'll still make that choice. And we look back and we're like, I knew better.
Yeah,
But I still did it.
yeah,
So that is
100%.
so, so brilliant. So I'm curious how this money versus safety translates back into entrepreneurship. Like, from learning that lesson about making decisions when it comes to money versus safety, obviously in the entrepreneurial world, it's such an important thing to invest in your business. People always say invest in yourself, but I don't believe when it comes to business, you're investing in your business, and it's very different. When it comes to personal development, that's where we talk about investing in yourself. But where do you draw the line, and how does that learning from traveling about money versus safety translate into the entrepreneurial world?
Oh, I love that you came up with that question from this, because it's so interesting. Everybody's risk tolerance is going to be a bit different, and everybody's situation is a bit different. So, what I always say when I'm talking about my experience with investing in different coaches or mentors or whatever I might be investing in is, I am probably in a very different position than anybody, and everybody's position is different. So maybe the decision I make with my investments may be different than somebody else. A very clear example is, I don't have any dependents. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't have any children that are depending on me for income. I don't have any parents that are depending on me for income. And I know other people are in different situations where they have other people that they need to consider when they're making their money decisions. For myself, I only have myself to take care of. And so I can be, I guess you could say, I have maybe a higher risk tolerance than those other people,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm willing to risk a bit of myself, but I wouldn't be willing to risk a dependent.
Yeah.
So saying that, the way I go about investing is, I like to invest where it isn't comfortable. So it does stretch me, but
Mm,
it doesn't put me in a position to not meet my needs, if that makes sense.
totally.
So if somebody is, let's say, thinking about investing in myself and it's investing in me or paying their rent, I don't want them to invest in me.
Absolutely.
I want them to pay their rent.
Yeah.
But there are things like luxuries that um, maybe can be sacrificed for other business investments. So I know I've made sacrifices like, oh, I'm not doing these kind of activities or buying luxury clothing or things like this. And
Mhm.
I'm instead allocating that money into different places of my business. So when it comes to risk, I would say be willing to stretch yourself, but not
Mhm.
put yourself in a position where you're struggling as
Mhm.
a person to meet your needs.
Yeah, because that really triggers that scarcity mindset. And then you go into
Absolutely.
holding back your gifts because of it's like as soon as it's turned, it's like a light switch. As soon as it's turned on, everything actually, it's almost like you're in the dark. Your gifts don't shine, your magnetism's not there, your faith system doesn't function well. And so that's actually really interesting that that is the way you guide your business. And I think that's really wise and just a really smart way of choosing. And I love that you choose to invest where it's uncomfortable. And we talk about this all the time in in the personal development world is if you're comfortable, that means you're not growing, right?
Yeah.
Growth happens in that space of discomfort. And I think so many people work so hard to maintain the resistance of change that they're doing so much more than just doing the change. Like just taking the action to make the change is requires so much less energy than maintaining the resistance. And it's interesting that as entrepreneurs, like we get used to that. We recognize that growth happens in discomfort, and it's almost like we choose discomfort all the time because it's almost comfort becomes uncomfortable
Yeah.
and discomfort becomes the norm. Like it becomes exciting.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Love that. So there's something else you said around money and it triggered my memory of the post that I made today. So I'm doing an appreciation challenge, a 14-day appreciation challenge. And a lot of that came out of Deepak Chopra's meditations for abundance. And so, what we appreciate grows, right? And so today I was posting about money and specifically that a lot of people have money stories. I think from our generation, I think because we come from that industrial revolution, like our parents came from that and they kind of limited our appreciation of abundance in many ways. And so a lot of us grew up with a scarcity mindset and you're a bit younger than me. And so I'm curious, what is your experience with your money stories and maybe your friends and close relatives that are kind of your age, like your generation, what is your general feeling around money? Because I feel like the next generation has so much more abundance when it comes to money.
It is so interesting. I feel like my money mindset is one of the biggest mindset changes that I've had
Mm.
to actively work on since starting my entrepreneur journey. And I mean, before diving into the world of coaching and mentorship, I never heard of money mindset. Like, I didn't know what that was. Or if somebody says, "Oh, we need to work on your money mindset," I'm like, "What do you mean? I don't need to work on this. What are you
Money's
talking
money.
about?"
What are you talking about? Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, what? This is some woo-woo or something.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? But no, now looking back, I'm like, how it reflects in everything you do, the way you see the world, the opportunities that come to you. It's wild. So I would say I was actually walking into the entrepreneur world or starting my business with a very negative money mindset. Um, I didn't realize growing up how much the negative talk around money, or I guess just the terms that were used in regards to money was not usually positive. So for example, let's say I heard a lot of we can't afford that, or that's too expensive, or oh, wouldn't it be nice to have that? Those kind of phrases growing up. And I didn't realize that was anything that was negatively affecting my idea of of money or what money meant. But now in hindsight, I'm like, wow, those little terms that or phrases that you're hearing often really do shape the way you see things. So I try to actually remove some of these things from my vocabulary. Like I try to not use the word expensive. I never say I can't afford things because then I'm just ingraining that story into my mind, right? And I also don't have any really jealousy or comparison. So let's say if I was to see a really nice car or a big house, I don't say, "Oh, I wish I could have that." Because when I say I wish I could have that, that means it's not tangible for me. That means it's not possible. That's creating an unnecessary distance between me and that thing. So instead, I see these things and automatically I think in my mind, wow, somebody like worked hard for that. Or like they can have it, which means it's proof that I can have it too. It's tangible for somebody else. That means it's tangible for me. So I would
Absolutely
say,
brilliant. Sorry to interrupt. This is like
no, no.
this is pivotal. I want to slow people down. If you didn't hear that, if you weren't paying attention, if you're multitasking, pause, rewind, go back to that, listen to it 20 times and apply it in your life because that is the gift of the money mindset transformation is exactly what you just said, Emily, summed up into those beautiful sentences of it's a choice how we see money. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just had to because I know people are
Oh,
going to glaze
don't
over
worry.
some of this, and that is just it's so juicy. That is the gift. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I would say it's a complete like 180 from what I grew up hearing and thinking to what I do now because I truly feel and believe that nothing is off limits. And this is the abundant mindset, as you're saying. Scarcity means you're lacking, but in an abundant mindset, you're not lacking anything, and therefore everything is tangible. So there's no reason to be resentful or jealous, because if it's possible for somebody else, they've proven it possible for you too.
That's it. That is absolutely it. And I was going to say, hey, did you listen to my last podcast? But it's not posted yet. So obviously you didn't. We talked about the exact same topic and about jealousy, and that really jealousy is just the ego believing that we can't have it. Exactly what you said. But there's that internal, that spiritual calling, that knowing I have this want for this thing, this desire for it. I have a vision that it should be mine, but then the ego says you can't have it. And that's where jealousy, that's what it is, really. But the truth is, and what I help my clients to shift is the recognition that no, that's actually just your vision calling you forward. And now let's make the plan of how you're going to get that thing. Let's make a 90-day goal. Let's set forward those appreciations. Let's see how you got to where you're at now and use your gifts and your skills and your capacity to share that gift and your generosity in the world and get you that thing that you actually know you can have, because otherwise you would never have seen it. You don't see something 20 times in a month that is not for you.
I love that so much. I can't wait to listen to your episode.
Oh man, this is so juicy. I love it. So I'm curious if you want to share with the audience a little bit about what you do and how you do it, and if there's anyone that, would love to work with you, how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I am a lead generation strategist and I run an all organic marketing agency. So what we specialize in is organic marketing on Facebook. So we help our clients who are typically coaches, consultants, or done for you service providers generate leads daily on Facebook without the need to run any ads. We also offer done for you Facebook group growth. So if you're wanting support with anything in regards to generating leads without ads or growing your Facebook group, then I am your gal. I'm on Instagram. I'm obviously on Facebook. Facebook is the best place to connect, but I will also give my links. So maybe you can find the links in the description of this podcast. But
Absolutely.
on Instagram, I'm Emily Dawn's Life. And on Facebook, I'm just Emily Dawn. And my main Facebook community is ambitious women, entrepreneurs, and coaches.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so I have a lot of coaches that listen to the podcast. I have a lot of entrepreneurs that are going to be in this space. And so I'm curious, if someone were to want to work with you, how much of their time and energy investment would it take? Are you teaching people the skills of how to grow their business organically, or are you offering to do it for them?
Yes, so I have an option for both. So I do consulting, which is one-to-one and very custom, working with entrepreneurs that are signing their first client all the way to seven-figure coaches that have teams. And then I have our done for you services, which is actually implementation. So that's where you're more hands off and we're generating leads and growing your Facebook community for you. And then I actually just released this week a combination offer. So it's a monthly subscription model where it's an element of both one-to-one consulting and done for you services.
Amazing. Well, I have to say, as a coach and being in this space of learning the tools, applying them, and then having to start a business, also coming from the medical world where we know nothing about starting a business and online, social media, all of those ways of growing a business, it is so powerful to hire a team. And everyone always says, don't hire a team until you get to this point, or don't hire a team until you have your scripting. But honestly, if I didn't hire a team, I wouldn't be where I am. And it is growth, it is learning, it is application, it is, not getting it right for a while. There's a lull phase, you change a few things and you learn and you continue to grow. So to me personally, my own journey, I knew I needed a team. I was in corporate, I had my business, I'm a single mom. There's no way I could have grown my business without a team. And I just think it's so pivotal to choose somebody who loves what they do. And I think that's the gift of you yourself as Emily Dawn, the fact that you were brought into marketing. What you said earlier today, it landed so much that I had to write it down. You followed your path from Pilates into marketing because you fell in love with it. And that to me is everything. That is you living out your purpose. This is you doing the thing that you're here to do. And yeah, what better way to grow your own business than to invest in someone that loves what they do?
Yes, and in saying that, like when I've invested in mentors, it's always that, right? It's they believe in their offer so much and they love what they do, and that makes you want to be a part of it. And it's all the energy, right? You want to be surrounded with people that are a positive environment, and that's the way to go about it. So I love that for both of us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Choosing people that are in integrity with the vision is everything. And you're right, it is all energy. You wouldn't want someone reaching out to potential leads that doesn't believe in your business. It's not going to work. It is a total flop. So yes, yes, yes to everything you said. I absolutely love it all. Thank you so much, Emily, for being here. I wonder if there's final words of wisdom, any kind of encouragement, or anything you'd like to share with our audience as they navigate the space of living their authentic journey.
Yeah, I would say just be patient with yourself, but also be persistent. So I always say the only way you can fail is if you stop. So if you just keep on going, you are bound to succeed. May not look the way you think success looks at the beginning, but it's all stepping stones, it's all momentum, and everything builds. So just keep on persisting. And as you walk in your purpose, everything will fall into place.
Beautiful. Oh, so gorgeous, so wise, so in love with what you do. I am so grateful for you being here, for sharing your gifts with the world, for serving in a way that's in alignment, and just creating abundance and keeping that abundance mindset is so powerful. So thank you so much, Emily, for everything. Thank you for being here. And who knows, hopefully we can podcast some more in the new year and learn more about what you're up to.
Would love that. Thank you so much.
Take care, Emily. Have a great day.